Hi, Northaven family. This is Connie Marshall here, and I have the pleasure of introducing you and interviewing Peggy West-Coke. Peggy, we are so glad that you said yes. We're eager to get to know a little bit more about you today. So we'll just start from the very, very beginning. Very good place to start. So tell me about where you were born, your family, siblings, your parents, just a little background in your life.
Okay. I was born in El Dorado, Arkansas. I have two brothers and a sister. Let's see, we lived in the country, and it was a wonderful life growing up. It was just, the stars at night were wonderful. It was just a wonderful place to be. And then...
Where exactly in Arkansas is it?
El Dorado is about 15 miles north of the Louisiana border. So it's oil country. Oil and timber are the resources there. Mm. And at the time, my mom was an RN, and she ran the OBGYN department at the hospital. My dad worked at Monsanto as a machinist, and his part of the plant closed down, and he moved us to a little town, Morris, Illinois, about an hour south of Chicago, to work at Northern Petrochemical that eventually became Enron. So it was hard to move my junior year of high school, but we got through it. So the snow was the biggest surprise.
Adjustment.
Right.
Did you like the snow or not like the snow?
The first time it snowed, we'd had snow, very little snow before, but this was feet of snow. And the first time it was a neat thing, and after that it wasn't, because at the time, and this is dark ages for many people, at the time girls were not allowed to wear pants to school, and we had to wear dresses and boots in 2 and 3 feet of snow, and getting onto the school bus, etc. It was just a hardship. And finally, the next year, my senior year, they changed it. As long as they were nice pantsuits, we could wear pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you left Illinois, and did you go to college somewhere, or where'd you move? Where have you lived? Where all have you lived?
Okay, I went to Hendrix College, and I graduated. I started out as a voice major. I stayed in voice, but I transferred to foreign languages, and I graduated with a degree in French. And I moved back to Illinois. I worked there. I have lived in, after Illinois, I went to Texas the first time. Then I moved to the Columbus, Ohio area for about 5 years. And then I moved back to Dallas.
And, I guess I thought I knew that more about your degree. I would have assumed that it was voice, but what did you do with a degree in French?
Not a lot. I worked, my life has been, I have not had a passion for one career. I've done many different things. And most of my passions were put into things I did outside of work. So I did at one point, I worked for an advertising agency who had an account in Canada, and I did some translation work for one of their accounts. But that was about everything that I did with French. I used it when I've gone to France.
So here in Dallas, you... I believe we're working with insurance. Is that correct?
My last and longest job was in the insurance industry. That's where I retired.
And what were you specifically doing there?
I was a property and casualty adjuster for houses. And I started out as a large loss coordinator, mostly dealing with fires. And from there, I went to theft. And then I went to adjusting property damage on houses.
Interesting. I know you worked really long, hard hours. I remember that. So, and you retired about 2 years ago?
about 2 years ago, I did some traveling, and about the time I was done with that, COVID happened. So
Yeah. That put the kibosh on a lot of fun, didn't it? That's for sure.
mhm.
Well, anybody who goes to Northaven knows that you were married to sweet Don Coke. We all adored him. So tell us how you met Don and how long were you guys married and all about that.
Don retired from Spring Valley Methodist, which is where I was going, and he came back. The Sunday he came back, I was doing a solo, and when I was walking out of the sanctuary, he stepped up and introduced himself, and I thought, well, what a nice man, and continued on my way, and he joined the choir. He has a beautiful bass voice, and he called me up once to go to the symphony, and for some reason I didn't remember who he was. So I said, I don't know who you are. And he said, well, I'm in choir with you at church. And I said, oh, okay. So we started going out for coffee after choir practice. And there we were married about 10 and a half years before he died. And it was a lot of fun. He was a fun person. We had a lot of things in common, and we used to joke that he was the young soul and I was the old soul of the relationship. But it was a wonderful time.
Well, that's great. That's great. So what, I know you and Don came to Northaven together. What brought you to Northaven?
We had been talking about making a change, and Don was very interested in Northaven. He knew a lot of people in Northaven, and he said, well, let's try Northaven, and see how it fits. And it was wonderful. The social justice aspect of it, the acceptance of everyone spoke to both of us. And it was an easy decision.
That's good. I actually remember your first Sunday. I don't know why I do. I just remember you guys being there. So okay. So you're retired now. So what do you do all day? How do you fill those hours?
Well, I play with my dogs a lot. We have a good time. We go outside and play some, and then I dig around my flower beds a lot. And I love to read. I recently read a book. I brought it here so I wouldn't forget the title of it. The Incredible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. It's a wonderful book. It's about a woman, and this is a long time ago. Something happened to her, and she couldn't die, and she lived through the ages. And it's just a fascinating book. I do that. I am in the Big Purge. I'm in Big Purge number 3. I call it because the first time I went through everything, I was so proud of myself that I had gotten rid of all the extra stuff that I didn't need. And as time goes on, I find there's even more stuff that I can get rid of. So that keeps me pretty busy.
Well, a lot of people may not know about your water disaster. That might have helped with the purging too, did it not?
It was, it really did. I had done one before this all happened, but
tell everybody what happened.
Mother's Day, there was some kind of malfunction with the tank of the master toilet, which I slept through, and so did the dogs. And so I woke up to about 3 inches of water all over the house. And it took, and of course, COVID was full blown, and getting people to come and do the repairs during that time was a challenge, but it happened. It all worked out, and putting everything back was like moving all over again. But I'm just so grateful I had insurance. And I'm grateful it's over with. And I hope I never have to go through that again, and I hope no one ever has to go through that.
So you're 100% repaired and all back to normal? Yeah.
Well, except for the completion of purging. Yeah.
Well, as I recall, it took a long time. This was not just a week or two. This was a long time of repair.
Well, it was all the floors in the house, and then the wallpaper fortunately came down in the bathroom, and it was damage to vanities. It was a lot of damage.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Always amazes me how much damage water can do. You just don't think of water being damaging, but boy, it sure can be. Well, I'm glad you're back to normal again, at least. And then hopefully COVID will pass fairly soon and we'll really be back to normal. So anyway, well, Peggy, talk a little bit about your spirituality and your, do you have a favorite Bible story or favorite scripture or quote or anything that brings you peace or that you particularly relate to or just particularly enjoy?
My favorite verse, and I use it frequently, is Philippians 4:13, which is, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And I truly believe when you hit a dark place or dark patch, you just have to take a deep breath and center yourself and remember and believe that. I believe that God is love. Love is love is love. And I believe we need to treat everybody as if we want them to treat us the same way. And it's just a very simple thing. And I find that at Northaven. We're imperfect people, so of course we have a long way to go in many areas, but it's a start just to accept everyone and love everybody.
That's great. So, we've been talking here for, 10 or 15 minutes, and I've already learned a couple of things about you I didn't know, but what might there be that a lot of people wouldn't know about you? A little secret about Peggy that maybe nobody really knows about you that you're willing to share?
Well, when I was 25, I was the youngest member of the sorority house mothers on the U of I campus in Champaign, Illinois. I was the house mother for D Phi E, which is one of two Jewish sororities on campus, and it was the Wild Child Jewish sorority. So I think they felt that someone younger would be able to work with the girls, and we had a great time. We did. We worked well together. There were 65 girls in the house. Whenever the cook was indisposed and couldn't cook, I cooked the meals for them. I learned a lot about the Jewish faith. I learned a lot about Jewish food. A lot of the parents would come down from Chicago on the weekends and bring kosher meals to their girls. And the minute they left, they would come in and say, "Okay, Peggy, you're going to be putting in a food order tomorrow." And I'll go, "Yes. Don't forget the bacon. Don't forget the bacon." So exciting. So there was one time that I was still learning so much about the Jewish faith, and the parents were great and the girls were great. But there was one time that's very shy. Freshman came into my apartment and said, "Peggy, I have to ask you something. It's very important. I really am trying to understand this, and it's very serious." And I said, "Okay, what can I help you with?" And she said, "I want to know what the religious significance is of the Easter Bunny." And she was totally serious, totally serious. I said, "Well, it is a pagan symbol." It's really not a Christian symbol. It's and I pointed her to a few things to read and stuff about, mostly kids stuff about how the Easter Bunny really is kind of in the maypole and rites of spring and all of that kind of stuff. But I was shocked when I got there, and I thought, okay, you think you've been sheltered, but there are people that have been sheltered even more.
Yeah.
You have. And people in different religions don't necessarily know everything that you take for granted. So
Interesting. That's a great story. So, well, we're already about time to wrap it up, but one last question, and that is, how would you like to be remembered? How do you hope people remember you? We hope you're not going anywhere for a long time, but
I hope people remember me as a good friend. I work on that. I have a lot of improving to do in many situations, but I really hope that people do remember me as a good friend.
Well, you can count me in there for sure.
Right.
Been a pleasure being your friend for the last few years. So I really look forward to the choir being back together again. That'll be good. It'll be good.
Me too, Connie. Me too. Yeah. And I feel the same way. And thank you so much for asking me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you have a great rest of the day, and thank you for saying yes.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.